Welcome to session Life After COVID 19: How to prepare for economic, social, and recovery efforts in the marketplace. So, I have my colleague Nick Whitney and myself will be walking you through some of the use cases as we learn in the industry. Hopefully, this will help you, go through some thought provoking conversation as you look to solve some of the challenges in your workforce. So my name is Das Noble. I'm the co-founder and CEO of MTX Group, and I am based out of Frisco, Texas. I've been a lifelong software technology engineer and also an architect. I enjoy working in the cloud technology, especially I embraced Google Cloud Platform for several years and enjoyed talking to government agencies and also private sector leaders to make sure that we could solve some of the real world challenges. Nick?
Yes, thank you for everybody for joining. My name is Nick Whitney. I'm a co-founder and CIO of MTX Group. I've been a cloud architect for about 15 years. I've been in software for as long as I can remember. And I enjoy really using software and cloud technologies to be able to solve business problems.
Great. Thanks, Nick. So, before we get started, there are four topics that we'd like to highlight in this session. Hopefully, these are meaningful and relevant for some of the challenges you're looking to solve, whether you're in a government agencies or in a private sector as a decision makers. Now, there is one thing that we're very aware, and that is the COVID era has been unpredictable. And as part of these different stages of the COVID era and the way that we're looking to reopen the economy, but do it in a safe manner, there are a number of challenges that are coming up. There is no recipe for success. These are some of the conversations that we continue to have, collaborate, and oftentimes co-create some of the solutions while partnering with organizations like Google Cloud Technology or some other cloud technologies, and also partner with a company like MTX to see how we can innovate in this space in this unpredictable time. Today's conversation will focus on how to reopen workforce safely. And then we're going to talk about what are some of the underlying challenges that we're seeing as part of the lockdown and social distancing that are popping up while protecting the children that are most vulnerable in our society. We'll focus on what have we learned as part of quality of life with this remote workforce. Are there things that we can apply going forward after COVID and make sure that we can increase productivity? And how do we do it with the metrics that we can be justify that are meaningful changes that could be brought as part of this acceleration in the digital world? And then we'll wrap it up with insight into how can robotic process automation, as known as RPA, can help government agencies or private sector really embrace the remote workforce, minimize some of the mundane laborious task that needs to be done manually, or it requires folks to be in the office. How can we bring some operational efficiency? Well, let's get started as we dive into these four topics. Before we do dive into these four topics, a quick introductions about MTX. MTX is a global implementation partner that provides services for government agencies and private sectors around the world. We take pride in zero fail projects. In the past 6+ years, while delivering 450 projects for our clients, MTX has 420 family members within our organization, and we're a very culture centric organization. We take pride in investing in people. And then when we invest in people, we know that they'll invest in clients, they'll invest in some of the innovative activities that takes place to make sure that we continue to bring solutions very rapidly. Speaking about bringing solutions very rapidly, in this COVID era, one thing we have learned is that we don't necessarily have time for projects that could take 6 months, 7 months. Things needs to be done in weeks, if not in days. So when we are called to listen some of the use cases of the government agencies, we're having discussions. How can we solve problems in matter of 3 to 4 days. Really progress something quickly, deploy it, and really then iterate through those solutions with the rich feedback from the end users. That's the summary of MTX and how we like to innovate. Let's jump into the four topics for today's agenda. The first is the workforce reentry. Whether you are working for the government agencies as a CIO, deputy commissioners, or commissioners, or leading a private sector entities as a CIO or decision makers, or whether you're parents, teachers, or union leaders that are really looking to see how can we go back to school safely. As I mentioned, there is no single um, you know path in the way you can go back and create a safe environment. These are some meaningful conversation that we need to continue to have as we continue to look to our technology to support us in creating a safe work environment. So let's take a look at what MTX has been doing with government agencies and private sector. We have seen that entities with 1,000 employees or 5,000 employees or 20,000 employees up to 400,000 employees, as they're looking to reopen their workforce, there is a significant question that needs to be answered by the HR team and the leadership team, is that how do we ensure a safe environment for the workforce to come back? How do we ensure a safe learning environment for children? There are a number of modules MTX developed within the Google Cloud technology. First component is that wellness survey. As part of our mobile applications, there is a wellness survey that is deployed. It consists of a set of questions that can be configured to the needs of the specific organization. And as part of the survey, it is required that employees or children must fill this out before they go back into this environment. And as part of the survey, if they do get a pass sign, then that could be utilized to have a green light to go back to the workforce on a daily basis. Now, it is recommended that individual must take the survey daily to make sure that there is a pulse check on the well-being of the individuals, and also making sure that folks that are coming to workforce and we're creating a safe environment for them. Whether you're running multiple shift as part of your global operations, this solution will help you manage shifts. It will also help you manage your identity as part of the re-entry into the workforce, where we minimize touching different devices within the offices and create those identity solutions, whether you're looking to do a facial recognitions and that touches the applications as part of validating employees versus visitors. These are all enabled within our solutions. In addition to that, we have a reservation module that allows employees to reserve specific cubicle or conference rooms ahead of time before coming to workforce. It enables workforce to really provide a safe distance, social distancing in place, to making sure that whether you're looking for 25% or 40% capacity as part of your workforce reentry, you can manage the capacity, and the reservation will honor those settings to make sure that there's a proper distance within the offices. And there is another advantage to this, the reservation tool. When you are looking at cleaning the office environments on a regular basis, if you maintain the reservation process, these information could be provided to the cleaning services companies to make sure that they do thorough cleaning at the end of the day, so the environment is safe for the next day for your workforce. Overall, we do provide a command center using BigQuery and Looker to visualize the informations, whether you are HR or specific business unit leaders. You'll have full visibility whether your workforce is fully compliant, if there are risks, and all of this could be bubbled up within the Google Cloud technology as part of our solutions. Nick, you have been working in this COVID ecosystems with different government agencies. What else would you like to add as part of your experience you're seeing with the workforce reentry?
Thank you, Das. One of the items that we've seen that has been prevalent throughout all of the engagements that we've had is that more people are trying to do more with less. There has been restrictions on availability and budgets and other areas, and essentially we want to ensure that we're able to provide the best level of service that we can and leverage the tools that we can to make this easy on everybody. We've seen a big push to be able to bring people back to the workforce safely, and the survey tool allows us to use near real-time data to capture their ability to rejoin the workforce safely without having additional risks presented to everybody else who's also trying to rejoin the workforce. As we look at this data, there's a lot of risk around the security of the data. So we also need to make sure that the systems are going to be performant, that they're secured, and that we can make the appropriate business decisions, whether we actually have access to the underlying data or if we just have access to aggregate data, whatever the appropriate business goals are here. Ultimately, those systems still need to protect the people, and we then can make the business decisions to protect them as they rejoin the workforce safely. Thoughts?
Absolutely. And I love the fact that you mentioned that, being able to do more with less, having solutions that has been rolled out for multiple agencies or private sectors. We can bring solutions at a very cost-effective manner, and they can be rolled out within 48 hours. So we'll absolutely love to have this conversation and showcase how we can innovate with Google Cloud technology. All right. So thank you, Nick. We'll jump into the next topic, and that is child welfare. There, as part of this social distancing and lockdown, there is a troubling numbers that are popping up in our society where kids being stuck at home, not being able to go back to school, or not being able to collaborate with their friends and peers. There are challenges at household where the number of children abuse and neglect are rising, and they will continue to rise. If you are a decision maker within the government agencies, you may be challenged with what can we do in the short term? What can you do in the long term strategy? What can you do with where some of the solutions that have been rolled out? Whether you're supporting the child care agencies, whether you're supporting the foster care agencies, the foster parents, what can be done to make sure that we're creating a safe environment for children? Well, let's dive into some of the specific things what MTX has built within the Google Cloud technology to make sure that you do not necessarily have to reinvent the wheel. We can absolutely repurpose our solutions to make sure that things that has been rolled out that are meaningful, that provide meaningful value to the society in keeping children safe. Whether you're looking at the foster parent or childcare providers, we are able to provide our child protective services solutions that it has a comprehensive solutions, including oversight into the different subsidiary program to make sure that if people or foster parents are really abusing children, they should not be subsidized, and there's a way to bubble out those information. We absolutely recommend taking a look at having a systems. I mean, we're way past doing things in paper or Excel spreadsheet. Let's embrace the cloud technology that has been built by MTX within the Google Cloud technology to really have those visibility. There are an awful lot of data that are out there, but I believe that we can take the data and provide a meaningful informations. We can lead that into actionable insights and have real change in the society in keeping children safe. In addition to that, making sure that whether it's a foster parent or the daycare providers are really being compliant and providing a safer environment. MTX built a background record check applications that could be rolled out to these different use cases and making sure that we're managing risk. As part of the managing risk, we need to be able to understand what are some of the regulatory statutes that we need to make sure that we are compliant, and also making sure that we're enforcing those on a regular basis and be able to do some of the inspections visit using cloud technology such as Google Meet. And whether you schedule these remote visits or in-person visits, there's certain ways you can use this technology as you go and be able to have those informations bubble up so you can have an informed decision making process as part of your agencies. Now, we do look at creating a safer environment for children, whether it is back to school solutions or really creating a solution for the essential workforce. Whether they can put their kids in a daycare All of these solutions are really relevant in how you could promote and have a meaningful, insightable, informations to make informed decisions in the way you digitize and transform. Now, it is a common sense to say that, well, why wouldn't we create a safer environment for children? Well, it's really difficult when you have a paper-based systems or really antiquated systems or systems that do not talk to each other. Our comprehensive child protective solutions really enable decision makers to have insight into the different activities across different business units and bubble up information is that if providers or foster parents are really breaking the rule and creating an unsafe environment for children, then some of the subsidy program could be frozen and certain penalty could be imposed to make sure that we continue to create a safer environment for the children. All right, so let's take a look at the next topic, which is the quality of life. Whether you are decision makers at a CIO level or deputy commissioners or business unit leaders, there is a constant conversation. Is that is this safe for us to go back to work, or how should we really roll out the strategy? There is a meaningful conversation to have, and that is that do you really need to rush in your strategy to put everyone back into workforce? Right? What are some meaningful insight in terms of is there benefits having folks working remotely, right? And if you do, what are some of the things you need to be aware of? We strongly recommend using Google Cloud technology, create a collaborative environment, a connected community. The research has shown that when you create a connected community for the remote workforce using the right tool and technology for collaboration, you create happy workforce. When you create a happy workforce, there's a direct correlation to product increase in productivity. So we strongly recommend that as you are dealing with this unpredictable time, to look at the cloud technologies such as Google Cloud Platform to make sure that we can enable those collaboration tools, including the Google Meet, to make sure that your employees feel connected. The next, you're going to be look to accelerate the digital transformation. This year, with the COVID responses, it kind of forced us to really look at this and really accelerate all of our needs in that aspect. The good news is you do have some CARE Act funding that will expire at the end of the year. Some of you have already accelerated those digital transformation. There are some of those other technology that you may have that you can potentially bring to the Google Cloud technology and also subsidize those with those CARE Act funding and support your remote workforce. As part of that process, do set up some metric, right, in terms of whether you care about the throughput, work-life balance, or connected community that increase, productivity in the workforce. Have those meaningful metrics that are defined, and also rules are built out using our solutions within the Google Cloud technology using BigQuery and Looker, so you can visualize at the organization level or at the business unit level. And this will ensure that as you're supporting the remote workforce, or there is an incremental slow process to get back to normalcy, there's a way you can support the quality of life for your remote workforce using Google technology. With that being said, we're on the last topic, and Nick, I'll turn it over to you for the robotic process automation.
Thank you, Dustin. As we look at the theme of doing more with less, we have a lot of ability to improve our worker experience at the same time that we reduce the amount of effort that we're putting into standardized workflows. We really want to be able to automate our repetitive actions. We want to be able to increase our quality, and we want to be able to reduce the human error that's associated with these manual actions. We want to minimize any manual tasks and start to be able to move those into system-based workflows. As we look at the bots that are available to us or that we can build, we have a lot of areas of improvement. Finance has the ability to streamline their AP and AR, including things like vendor onboarding, where they may no longer be able to bring people into an office to be able to sign paperwork and be able to actually handle that in person. They now need to be able to do this remotely. So we can set up the bots that allow them to streamline this process that would have historically been done on paper. As we look at the approvals, we want to be able to automate those. Those are no longer, again, going to be stamped. They're not going to be in ink. We want to be able to move those into a system. And as we look at HR, especially with some of the challenges that come out from COVID of perhaps standing up call centers or responding to issues that they may not historically have handled, we want to be able to automate the onboarding, orchestrate the systems that need to be put together. As we look at doing that automation of the onboarding, we can increase our responsiveness and improve our worker experience by using bots to be responsive to what comes back from those people. If we have forms that need to be sent out, if we have signatures that are required, we can ensure that those processes are streamlined, efficient, and providing a good worker experience to people who may not have as much experience with those flows. As we look at these tools, there's also a great example here of being able to use an AI tool. One of the AI tools that we've suggested is a Maverick AI tool, which is our internal Maverick platform. This has been built on the Google Cloud platform and allows us to reduce the amount of effort that is spent on tasks that are lower value. Those tasks can instead be done by the platform and allow us to do something like scanning documents to ensure that they are accurately filled out and sending them back out to the people if they're not completed. And whatever rules-based platform actions we need to be able to follow. This allows us to focus our people's time and energy where there's higher value. And instead of having them scan 100% of the documents, they may only need to be involved with 20% of the documents. They can review those and be far more efficient. Is there anything you would add?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Nick, your organization at MTX really leads the whole AI platform initiatives. And I get always a warm and fuzzy feeling when I see that some of those bots or some of these technologies you're bringing in, and oftentimes educate us, is that as a leader, as we're looking to really minimize some of the manual tasks, and how can the bots could be utilized. Now, as a decision maker, if you have the funding to really, go through the digital transformation and invest in the Google Cloud technology and replace your existing systems, great. If you don't have the luxury, really take a look at it in the RPA process with Maverick AI platform. How can you really solve some of those challenges? Now, Nick, let's talk about, there's a lot of folks will talk about, well, AI is a, buzzwords. We are seeing some real world examples where we're solving real world problems for government agencies in the private sector. Um, if I'm a CIO, what can I look toward in terms of preparations in solving some of my challenges using AI? How do I start?
So what we like to do is we like to start with a journey map of if we were able to kind of look into the future and say, what does a perfect state look like? We want to understand that vision and understand that business goal. What that allows us to do then is kind of look at what is maybe a low hanging fruit. Sometimes things look like they're going to be more complex, but it's something that you can actually do in a far more efficient fashion. It allows you to pilot the functionality, ensure that you're comfortable with it, start to build that out over time. It doesn't necessarily need to be that we boil the ocean on day one. We can solve a single business problem, free up some resources, and then move on to the next business problem. Ultimately, that kind of evaluation of the security, evaluation of the workflow, and starting out in a measured and controlled fashion is something that we've seen be very successful and start to really free up those resources to move on to the next area where there's better, focus and better area of improvement for us.
Absolutely. And thanks, Nick. And obviously, privacy and security are the topmost priority for your R&D team as you continue to innovate in that space. I do welcome any questions or any conversation from other CIOs or decision makers to really connect with Nick, Whitney, and see how we can help you as you look to migrate into the Google Cloud technology and also utilize our Maverick AI platform in some of the decision making process. This will be the end of our presentation. I appreciate you spending the time with us. Hopefully, you found these topics to be thought provoking as you have conversation with your colleagues, with your peers, or even at a dinner table in the way that we're all addressing some of these COVID related challenges. My name is Das Noble, and I'm the co founder and CEO of MTX.
Nick Whitney, I'm the co founder and CIO of MTX. Thank you.